Good morning, it's Pastor Marty from the Afternoon Drive. Welcome to the Friday edition, because on my radio program, we only do political and pop culture content Monday through Thursday. We do it twice a day, 12:05 and 5:05. On Fridays, I figure that most people leaving work, because I'm on the drive time in the Orlando, Daytona Beach radio markets, and by 5 o'clock, time to go home. Most people are on information overload for the week. And so Friday, we just kick back and have fun on the radio show. We call it the Friday 5 o'clock flashback. And what I really do is top 40 radio from the 1960s. It's all 1960s pop hits. And we throw in old retro commercials, old radio jingles that you would have heard back in the 1960s. We just have a lot of fun with it. And right now, it's the month of May. So May, June, and July, and into August, all across Central Florida, I do it as a non-stop summer beach party. So you'll hear a lot of Beach Boys stuff, a lot of Beach Boy wannabe groups from back in the 60s that some of it you've never heard of, but it's great music. And we just have a lot of fun with it. That's what we do on Fridays. So my political content for Friday and Saturday is reserved exclusively for YouTube. There. Now that you know more about me and my radio show than maybe you wanted to know, just thought I'd throw that little caveat out there. Welcome to the political edition of the Afternoon Drive for Friday that we do exclusively here on YouTube. James Comey, John Brennan. Well, we have a difference of opinion of who that was actually pushing, promoting the Steele Dossier. Is it a difference of opinion, or is Rush Limbaugh right? And now we're watching the rest of media. Rush said it. Fox repeated it. Now you've got CNN and PMSNBC discussing it and debating it, and it's making its way over into ABC, NBC, CBS, and print media. Are the rats beginning to abandon ship and turn on each other? Because you have James Comey saying that it was John Brennan who wanted to use the Steele Dossier to secure the FISA warrants, and that it was John Brennan that felt the president had done something that was worthy of investigation. Yet the flip side is John Brennan saying, no. It was James Comey that absolutely insisted that the Steele Dossier be used. Now, it's interesting because Trey Tor Gowdy, and that's what I call him, Trey Tor Gowdy, he actually said the other night that he has seen the so-called document that was used, and that he believes that he's not going to say any more about it. And then, of course, he proceeded to say more about it, that Comey has a better argument than Brennan. Well, does he have a better argument, or is Comey just sneaky enough, thinking that if down the road this ever becomes a thing, I'm going to need some cover, so I will just throw Brennan under the bus? Did he dot more I's and cross more T's than Brennan? I'm sorry, how Brennan became our CIA director, especially after the fact he was an avowed communist and voted for Gus Hall. How we let this guy run the Central Intelligence Agency is beyond me. Talk about Russian collusion. But Brennan doesn't strike me as being very bright. He strikes me as being ruthless and nasty, but he doesn't strike me as being bright. Comey, on the other hand, is smart, but he's too smart for his own good. He's arrogant smart. And Comey's this guy, almost like a J. Edgar Hoover, that feels he can pull these little stunts off, and he can feign integrity, and he can feign patriotism, and he can do a book tour and go on night after night and criticize everyone from the president to now even the former director of the CIA, and nothing can come back on him because he's so good at covering his tracks. No, his arrogance is what's going to trip him up. His arrogant pride, in the end, is going to trip him up. And I'll tell you why. And yes, here I go. I'm a pastor. I'm about to quote a scriptural principle. Get ready. We're going to cloud this issue with the Bible. Pride goes before the... you know, the fall. That haughty spirit, that prideful spirit goes before your demise and your downfall. Comey believes his own press clippings. Comey believes his own propaganda. Comey lives in his own head, and he thinks he's brilliant, and he's about to be tripped up. We are watching the rats now turn on each other. And don't forget, that so-called fake war hero, John McCain, he's in this up to his eyeballs, too. It was John McCain that helped get it out so that the press had their hands on it. Now, McCain did it through a staff member, but this is the deep state trying to cover and protect itself. You know, McCain hated Trump on a personal level, and he couldn't bear the thought that this guy is going to be president. Because remember, we have Meghan McCain over on The View saying, Mr. Trump, America loved my dad. They will never love you. Well, apparently they didn't love him too much, Sweet Pea, because he ran for the presidency twice and lost. And I think it was just too much for McCain to handle that here comes Trump, a person that he considered vile and rude and crude, who got elected. And Mr. Middle-of-the-Road Rhino, John McCain, couldn't get elected. And see, I've never bought into that he was a maverick. I've never bought into that he was actually a conservative. When he was running for the nomination against George W. Bush, he ridiculed George Bush and others within the conservative ranks for placating to the Christian right, whom he referred to as Bible thumpers. Bible thumpers are setting the agenda for our party. It's interesting to know, and I think we can pretty much guess where John McCain would be on Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, and other states taking drastic steps toward outlawing abortion. I wonder what Mr. Conservative would have to say about that. Well, we know what he would say. Barry Goldwater hated Ronald Reagan. And again, for the same reason that McCain hates Trump. Goldwater hated Reagan because Reagan could do something that Goldwater couldn't. Get elected with very conservative ideals in place and govern very conservatively. Here's what the never-Trumpers and the so-called conservative purists and elitists hate about Donald Trump. He actually governs pretty effectively as a conservative. In fact, he is certainly 100 times more conservative than George W. Bush ever was, or George H.W. Bush ever was. In fact, in some ways, I find Donald Trump even a bit more conservative on certain issues than Ronald Reagan, who gave amnesty to illegals. Everybody remember that? It was the amnesty to end all amnesties. What you have now is you have William Barr and his investigator, Mr. Durham. And here's what I think. I have no insider baseball on this. I'm watching this unfold. I'm watching basically the White House and Donald Trump telling Jerry the Nads Nadler, Chuck E. Cheese Schumer, Nancy Botox Pelosi, Mad Maxine Waters, Adam Schiff for brains. He's telling all of them exactly where they can go and where they can stuff their subpoenas. And I think it's because Barr has let them know he already knows. The Inspector General already knows. That's why you have Trump today finally using the T word with what individuals within the FBI did. Treason. It's the first time Trump has actually used that word, treason. And I have to be honest, just a few weeks ago and over a period of months, we knew what was happening. We saw the evidence a couple of years ago. We knew it. We understood it. But I really didn't think anybody would go to jail. I really didn't. I figured the Mueller investigation would eventually end. They would either try to impeach Trump or, this thing would just sort of go away and that'd be the end of it. But that the people that actually tried to pull off a coup would never be held legally accountable. I am now fairly confident some people are going to jail. Maybe not all the right people. I am sure that Hillary Rodham Clinton and one Barack Misopotamus, they're smarter than Comey. Comey is one of those guys, he loves to have his ego stoked. Remember, the president refused daily briefings from the intelligence community. He basically said, look, I'm a smart guy. I can figure this out. I don't need you coming in here every day. That incensed them. Now, I'm gonna give you a little scenario here, and let's see if history repeats itself. J. Edgar Hoover had lunch with President Eisenhower once a week and kept Eisenhower abreast of things. And Eisenhower fully understood. And remember, Hoover was Roosevelt's boy. Eisenhower had heard that J. Edgar Hoover ran the FBI as his own personal spying agency. Oh, that's right. They don't spy. But J. Edgar Hoover certainly did. And he had dirt on everybody. And Eisenhower felt the best way to keep J. Edgar on my side, we'll just stay friendly, and I'll give him the access he wants. He stroked his ego. John Kennedy wouldn't. John Kennedy refused to meet with him. Bobby Kennedy refused to meet with him. And I'm not saying anything other than what's history tell us about him. One of the first things that LBJ did upon assuming the presidency from the deceased JFK did was to resume weekly lunches with J. Edgar Hoover. Comey had access to Obama. You think Comey knew about whether or not Obama was an illegal president? Yeah, I'm going to bring up the citizenship again. You think Comey had information on Barack Obama, whether it was his dalliances, any affairs, any scandals whatsoever? You think Comey was in the loop, in the know, along with Robert Mueller, who was one time director of the FBI, knowing the secrets of inside Washington? These guys had their egos stroked. They had unfettered access. They could come and go in the inner sanctum of the presidency. And then along comes Donald Trump and says, I don't want any of you people around me. And do you think like a woman-scorned James Comey set his sights on, I'm going to take him down? See, I think that is exactly the arrogant type of individual we're dealing with in a James Comey. Is John Brennan guilty in all this? Absolutely. He's guilty of being stupid and being played by Comey, who is now going to try to blame him for everything. The rats are abandoning ship, and they are turning on each other because Bill Barr knows what happens. He's got the prosecutor that's going to go after it, and we are going to see some people accountable. I am convinced we will see John Brennan, maybe James Clapper, most definitely James Comey, under indictment and sitting before a trial jury. I am convinced of it. Now, will it happen by the end of this summer? No, but I think the indictments and the arrest, that's all going to start playing out this summer. The narrative at CNN and PMSNBC is going to have to start changing radically soon. And I think we will begin to see a disappearance of Hillary Rodham Clinton. She has certainly put enough into place to let others take the fall for her. But I think Mr. Barr, Mr. Durham, at the end of the day, when they do prove that the dossier was used to secure the FISA warrants and what Comey and Brennan and that ilk, what they were all responsible in doing, the logical question has got to be is, where did that dossier come from? Who paid for it? Who wanted it? And thus the real collusion investigation begins. And that's Hillary Rodham Clinton. That's it. That's all the time I've got for today. Thank you so much for tuning our way. YouTube is again messing with the algorithm. I have lost 2 members since yesterday. And these are not people that unsubscribed. It's just, YouTube does that. Members just disappear. I lost, a couple of weeks ago, I noticed that I lost 100 subscribers in 24 hours. And I'm hearing other people who have other channels, even those on the far, far left, talk about the same thing happens to them. So they're messing with the algorithm. They're trying to keep this channel down from being discovered. Please do all you can to help spread the word, share these videos, tell people about it. Thank you so much. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell, and please leave a comment.